My name's Leo and I'm a boat builder and a sailor, and I'm also a part of a community made up of many people from around the world, including you, because whether you've volunteered here or been a patron or donated, commented on my videos, or even just watched any of my videos, you have been a part of making this possible. So today I want to say that this community is on a mission to rebuild and restore this 111-year-old classic sailing yacht, Tally Ho. Let's go have a look, shall we?
Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited and terrified. First time I'm coming aboard Tally Ho. Oh my god. Overwhelming to see the amount of work to do here. So a lot of people ask why I took on a project like this in the first place, and firstly, I don't want to make it sound like I am unique in that. There are actually a lot of young and old boat builders around the world who are doing amazing restorations, rebuilds, new builds. There's a lot of amazing work out there. Some of it is on YouTube and a lot of it isn't, but there are plenty of people out there doing stuff like this and much more impressive stuff too. For me, it was all about the adventure and the challenge, and also recognizing and appreciating the history of this boat and the beauty of classic boats in general, and appreciating what they represent, which to me is a mix of, again, adventure, self-reliance, craftsmanship, community, beauty, and travel. So a little bit of background about me, what I was doing before this project. I grew up in rural Somerset. My dad was a carpenter and builder, and my mum was a decorator. I played a lot of music when I was a teenager, and I was planning to become a professional musician, but at 18 I left the UK and spent 2.5 years traveling around the world alone, a lot of hitchhiking, busking, sleeping rough, that sort of thing. And by the end of it, I realized that I didn't want to be a professional musician, and I wanted to do something more hands-on. Wooden boat building seemed like it could provide the perfect romantic combination of travel and craftsmanship, and so I started an apprenticeship in a boatyard in Bristol, England, with RB Boatbuilding. At this point I had never sailed. I'd done a little bit of woodwork but not a great deal, and I was completely broke. I wasn't getting paid for my apprenticeship and busking for my food money. I learnt to sail with the people I worked with on a variety of boats, from lasers to 3-masted Cornish luggers. My first boat was a 19-foot fiberglass sloop, which I refitted and sailed around Land's End, after which I bought my second boat, a wooden folk boat. I immediately snapped the mast on that boat because there was a lot of rock that I didn't know about, and I hadn't surveyed it properly, and so I spent the next year rebuilding it in a small Cornish village. During these years I was consistently working as a boat builder, gaining skills, working for different people, and getting more experience on different projects. And by the time I'd rebuilt the folk boat, which I did mostly in evenings and weekends, I was feeling a little bit more confident about that boat and also about my own abilities. Then came a period of living and cruising on that tiny 25-foot boat, working as a mobile boat builder where I could, and just generally sailing around having a pretty good time. I sailed a lot around the southwest coast of the UK, to the Scilly Isles, to Ireland, and then eventually to France, Spain, Portugal, Morocco, Canaries, Cape Verdes, and on down to the Caribbean, where I spent quite a bit of time. My solo Atlantic crossing and a few race wins in Antigua in my folk boat earned me a job as a captain of a 95-foot wooden ketch built in 1927, my first full-time sailing job. I skippered that boat from the Caribbean to Bermuda to Canada, a few months cruising in Greenland, and then on down to France and Italy. Lots of adventures there and a lot of figuring things out as I went and being very out of my comfort zone. And then after that, I got a job as bosun on the 3-masted gaff schooner Addicks. Addicks is a very impressive boat, and I learnt a lot there, and it was an amazing challenge running the deck, sometimes being in charge of up to 25 or 30 race crew and a multi-million-dollar rig. But I think I really craved being fully independent, and so I learnt that full-time work on a super yacht didn't really suit me. But I did know that I wanted to build more wooden boats and have more adventures, and working on Addicks was a really good way to build up some savings for the first time in my life. After a year or two on Addicks, I had a bit of money in the bank, and then Tally-Ho was brought to my attention by Ashley Butler, an old boss and mentor. I fell in love with that famous photograph at the beginning of every video now, and I wrote a letter to the Albert Strange Association, who were asking $25,000 for the boat, describing my intentions and experience and offering them $1. After flying there, seeing the boat and meeting their representative, to my surprise they agreed, and they even donated a bit of money towards actually moving the boat, which was one of my very first costs. So many people have asked how I ended up at this amazing workshop, and the answer is that Raoul and Darlene, who own this property, are close friends with a distant cousin of mine who lives in Antigua, and when that cousin found out what I was planning, I was recommended to bring the boat to this area and put in touch with them. Although I'd never met them, they immediately welcomed me with open arms and fully supported this project, which was amazing because without it I would not even have started. The savings I had wasn't enough to put this boat in a boatyard and work from there. They are, of course, like family to me now, and it'll be very sad in some ways to leave this property. In other ways, though, it's a very positive step, and I'll talk about that more later. From the beginning of this project, I did know that it would cost more than I had in savings, and so I was always planning to work during this time in one way or the other. I started the YouTube channel right at the beginning with the hope that it would bring income, but my backup plan was to keep working as a shipwright and on yacht deliveries in between working on this boat, which is what I did for the first year or two until I really started making money from my videos. The success of the channel, or relative success up until now, has been a huge surprise to me. Like I said, I did have hopes that it would help fund the project, but I had no idea how many people would end up watching these videos, and it completely has blown me away and continues to do so pretty much every day. The other surprise, of course, which was a gradual surprise and continues to be surprising, is how much work needed to be done on the boat, and still does, and how much everything costs. Regular watchers will know that when I'm asked how long this project is going to take, I always say 2 years, and although that has become a joke, that is about how long I thought it would take when I started. It's now been about 4 years, and I'm still saying 2 years, and to be honest, that's kind of still what I think, although I'm hoping maybe we've reached a point where I'm overestimating rather than underestimating. But who knows? Anyone who owns a wooden boat knows that they're never finished anyway, so I should be able to use this 2-year prediction forever. For the first year or so, I was mostly working on my own, and then I started getting people offering to come and help. and that made a huge difference. Over the years, I've had a huge amount of people from all over the world come to be a part of this crew, and it's been amazing. Every one of them, although there's not time to list or show all of them in this video, each and every one of them has had a huge impact on me and on this project, and has left a little bit of themselves in the boat. People have a lot of financial questions about how much things cost. It is a delicate balance, budgeting everything, what's coming in and what's going out, and some of the most expensive parts of the project are coming up. But more than anything else, I'm just blown away and incredibly grateful by the fact that I've been able to get this far, and I've been able to buy the materials and the labor that I need to do this project in the best way that I can, or that I think is possible. If the YouTube channel hadn't become popular, and if I wasn't able to make money through that, this project would have been very different. I think and I hope that it would have still been successful, albeit in a different way. I would have had to be working a lot more for other people to make that money, and I also would have probably not been able to make some of the choices that I made. So for instance, when I decided to replace the centerline timbers, if I hadn't had any regular income coming in, I may not have been able to do that. When we decided to cast the floors and the hanging knees and lodging knees in bronze, that's certainly something I wouldn't have been able to do if this YouTube channel hadn't been as successful as it has. Same applies to many different aspects of this project. There would have been a lot of times where I would have had to skimp and take the cheapest option because it would have been all I could afford, and that really would have affected the lifespan of the boat and my confidence in it, in terms of safety and in terms of the sort of weather and the places that I'm hoping to take this boat through one day. The hardest parts of this project for me are probably just the difficult decisions, and especially those decisions which affect the sort of authenticity or the historical value of this boat. There's always a lot to weigh up, and there's always going to be people who think that that's the wrong decision, but all you can do is try and think about all the pros and cons in terms of authenticity, in terms of safety, longevity, budget, workload, and so many other things, and just hope that the decision you're making is the right one. Now that I'm really thinking about it though, the thing which is really hardest about this project is actually just managing my time. I always try not to complain about it because it's my choice about how I spend my time, and I'm so grateful for all the people who are making it possible for me to do this with my life. But it does take so much work to make this whole thing tick. I don't think people really realize the amount of time it takes to film and produce these videos, as well as the amount of time it takes to just manage a project like this in terms of the tools, the resources, the materials, and everything else that goes along with it, whether it's dealing with county stuff, dealing with immigration and visas, dealing with finances and banking and all that sort of thing. The boat building, the woodworking, the bit which is actually on the videos, is just a tiny fraction of what I do. It's the most fun thing, and it's the bit I wish I could be doing all the time, but it is not what I'm doing most of the time. I basically just don't get any free time for myself, and often working late in the evenings, and most people don't know this, but on the Thursday and the Friday before a video is released, I'm often up pretty much all night. It's not uncommon on the Friday night, just before a video is released, that I'm finishing editing that video at 3, 4, even 5 in the morning, and then exporting and uploading it. Again, I really don't want to complain about that because it is my choice, and you know, I should just do less work. But it is important to me to try and make this project a success, and to do that I need to put out good content regularly to make the money that funds it. So in some ways I do sometimes feel very trapped in this sort of amazing prison of my own making. I'm so lucky in so many ways, but in other ways I've sort of confined myself within this responsibility that I've created. So having explained that, I would like to apologise to all the people who get in touch with me and leave comments and so on, who I don't answer. I try and read most of it. It's very, very meaningful to me, but there's just physically not enough time. And to all the people who want to come and visit, it's the same story, and I wish I had time to show everyone around. And it's so hard because I so appreciate that people are interested and want to see the boat, but if it's ever going to get finished, we have to keep on working. People often ask me if I would do this again, and if I would have started if I'd known what I was getting myself into. If I had known the amount of work, I probably wouldn't have started, but I don't regret it. I'm very, very glad that I'm doing it and that it's come this far. In many ways it's gone better than I could have possibly imagined, although there are still huge, huge challenges ahead. And would I ever do it again? I really don't know. At this point in time, I think I sort of yearn for different kinds of adventures, for sailing, for using this boat, but I'm sure that after sailing for a while I will get the urge to be building boats again, so we'll see what happens. Talking of sailing, a lot of people ask about my future plans of the boat, and I've seen a lot of comments concerned about the end of the YouTube channel, but first of all, you should know that this project is not near its end. There is so much more work to do. It does seem that the speed of our progress is getting faster and faster, and should get even faster when we're in Port Townsend, but nonetheless people sometimes say that the hull of the boat is only a third of the work and the interior and the rig is the other 2/3. So we haven't even finished the hull yet because we haven't put the deck on. So you don't have to worry about running out of YouTube videos anytime soon, and I still have a lot of challenges of all kinds ahead of me. But when we do finally get the boat in the water, I've got various plans, although I don't really want to commit to anything, but I do hope to live on it for a long time. I hope to sail around the world, or at least part of it. I hope to continue the YouTube channel and document those sailing adventures, and I hope to be able to use the boat in a positive way that impacts a lot of people. And that could look like a lot of different things, so I'm hoping to explore those and find out what works. One thing that I'm really passionate about and that I really want to get into a lot more after this boat is finished is reforestation. So I would one day love to start a non-profit that works on that, works on planting forests that are going to be old growth, you know, multi-generational resources which can be logged responsibly and sustainably, both for the benefit of our planet and the nature in our planet, and also to try and help provide a sustainable resource for boat builders and other woodworkers to work with. really beautiful timber. I do also have ambitions of perhaps starting a boatyard somewhere one day and building more wooden boats with an emphasis on training people. And of course, one day I would like to build myself a home on the land as well for when my sea legs are getting old. So there's lots to look forward to, and you know, I'll try if I can manage it to document as much as possible, but it does take a lot of work and a lot of energy, so we'll see. I do want to talk a little bit about the upcoming move and the events that prompted it. The whole ordeal with the county, it sort of seemed to come and go pretty quickly in my videos, but in reality it was a really, really long, arduous, painful build up to this sort of breaking point. And then I put it out there and everything just went crazy. I was really, really amazed and grateful for the amount of support that I got, but it also just brought too much attention. The newspaper published my address, there were people coming around here, there was people making threats online in various directions. It was all too much. And so I was really eager basically just to resolve it any which way I could, just to calm things down. The amount of support that I got, the suggestions and the offers also made me realize a couple of things. I realized for the first time that actually it would be possible to move the boat sooner than I had imagined. It would not only be possible, that it actually could be a really, really good thing for the project. And so after I'd got over that initial fear of doing it, I did eventually become really excited about the possibilities and the things that it could mean. I also realized that I had enough support that I could actually really carry some weight in negotiating with the county. And so in that week or two after that first video came out, I really rushed to try and come to an agreement with the county that would actually work for me, as well as keep everyone else more or less happy. We did manage to rush that agreement through just the day before that next video was released, and that agreement really let me do everything I needed, gave me loads of time and let me move on my own terms, which is what I really wanted. At this point I was not only resigned to moving, I really did think it would be the best thing for the project. Getting that resolution and getting that next video out really just helped calm everything down, calm everybody down, make sure nothing too crazy happened, and get the focus back on boat building, which is really what this channel is supposed to be about. Moving to Port Townsend is scary for me. It's a huge move, moving the boat itself and all my tools and everything else. I have to buy a lot of tools, I have to rent a workshop and a space to the boat. It's going to be very challenging in all sorts of different ways, but like anything, to go bigger and better, you've got to risk something, and I've always believed that calculated risk can be a really healthy thing and the only way to grow. So I really am excited about this, and I think it's going to be a great thing for the project. I know some people are upset and worried about Pancho, but let me just assure you that although she does appear a lot in my videos, she does spend most of her time with her loving and caring family here that own her, so she's going to be just fine. But also I do hope and expect that she will be able to visit us and make some appearances. The other really important thing to recognize, I think, is that change is healthy. Doing the same thing repetitively can get stagnant. Changing things up will bring new elements to this project, to the videos. If Pancho's not around so much, there will be a lot of other really exciting things going on in Port Townsend, and other animals, I'm sure, but also so many opportunities for interesting stories and characters in the boatyard there. And the main thing is we're getting this boat one step closer to the water in various different ways. It's moving the project along significantly. The general sort of overview of the next stages of the project is something like this. We're going to be doing some exciting stuff with the ballast keel. We're going to be moving the boat to Port Townsend and the whole operation. So there's a lot of work to get a new workshop, get a new spot for the boat, get a new place to live, set all that stuff up, get all the bench tools I need, because Most of the bench tools here are not mine. That is all going to take a little bit of time and money, of course. And then we're going to be working on, not necessarily in this order, but the ball extensions, the bulwarks, the bulkheads on the inside of the boat, cap rail, the last bit of the transom, the deck, of course, all the deck houses, cockpit, so on, engine installation, and then of course a lot of interior work, which will include all sorts of accommodation, systems, and many other things which I haven't even been able to consider yet. Alongside all that, we're going to be working on the rig and the sails. Some of that is kind of in motion already. There's going to be some really exciting stuff actually, and maybe even opportunities for people to get involved. So we're going to be talking a lot more about that soon. But the sails will be made, some in Port Townsend, some back in the UK. And then the mast and all the other spars we'll be making in Port Townsend. I'm really excited about the future of this project. I really do think it's just going to get bigger and better, and the videos are going to get more and more interesting as well. So I hope you guys are excited too. I sort of feel like this is the end of season 1 as we change location and move into a different phase. Season 2, hopefully, fingers crossed, will bring us eventually to the launch of the boat, and then eventually, perhaps season 3, we'll be sailing it. Now, I've saved the most important bit to last, and I know this might be predictable, but I just want to talk about how completely blown away I've been by the amount of support that has been given by you guys to make this project possible. Through all the difficulties and the challenges which we've gone through, some of which I've talked about, some of which I haven't, I have always felt like we have a community which has got my back. And that is a really amazing feeling. And honestly, it's probably been the difference between me giving up and losing my mind and actually getting through and working out how to get through these things and keep on making progress. I do wish there was time to go through everyone individually, but you know, all the crew who have been here, you know, whether they've been voluntary or paid, they're just such a huge part of this project. You know, so many important characters which make this project what it is, which make these videos what they are. And then all the people who have signed up as patrons or otherwise financially supported this project, and all the people who have done me favors in various ways, helped me out with this or that or the other, people who have sent me things that they've made, letters, emails, you know, meaningful words, commenting, just watching my videos. It all makes a huge difference, and it makes this whole thing possible. It makes this community, and it makes this boat. So deeply, genuinely, thank you.